Hello again, good friends. Welcome, new subscribers. I'm Brian from Apex Detail. Today we're going to talk a little bit about paint enhancements compared to one-step corrections or one-step enhancements, and what products and tools are used for both and why it's important for beginners. This here is a setup for paint enhancements. I slowly scrolled through the products you could use, just a small example of many, and here are the pads. Just grab any foam polishing pad, or you could use a microfiber polishing pad. Those usually have the black foam in between the backing felt and the microfibers themselves. Here we have a daily driver. It's not going to be stored in the garage. We're going to get an enhancement or one-step correction out of this and send it on its way. Daily drivers are what you beginners are going to get. That's where most of the work is. So let's take a look at this. I have a little area masked off, and I'm going to show you examples of enhancements, way to enhance the paint without taking a lot of clear coat, really not much of any clear coat off. We're going to use just a small 10FX Torx polisher. This is 8mm throw. I use this for waxes and sealants. We're going to use Redemption. That is by Angel Wax. It is a polish cleaner with very fine abrasives. So for you beginners who want to offer something a little bit more than just a basic bumper-to-bumper cleaning, this here is the next step. This is just to get a little bit extra pop, a little bit extra shine and gloss from the surface without getting into trouble with harsh abrasive chemicals or compounds and aggressive pads. I want to get this out of the way while it's fresh in my mind. When you see the results of the next step, when we get to one-step corrections and one-step chemicals and compounds, you're going to say, well, why can't I just skip right to them and do one steps? Well, if you're a beginner and you're just getting used to a polisher, I really suggest just doing enhancements. Like I said, the compounds are less aggressive, less abrasive, and the pads are less aggressive as well. Less chance for you to get in trouble while you're starting your business, and that's a very important factor to keep in mind. Now, the method I use to do enhancements, I'll do a crisscross pattern, and the up and down motion, I'll have firm pressure. And what I mean by moderate pressure or firm pressure, just think of something similar to a firm handshake. And when I get to the left and right motion, I'm going to switch my hand and just have it pinching the end of the polisher to guide it back and forth. The weight of the polisher is now helping to finish after taking advantage of those abrasives right out of the bottle to do just a little bit of abrasion to get rid of some of those real horrible defects. And you're going to see the difference it makes. In an enhancement, we're not doing much correction whatsoever. We're not removing hardly any clear coat. We're bringing out gloss and shine, which then takes away some attention to some of the defects that could be on this hood. All these surfaces facing the sun need as much protection as possible, and I'll get into it in another video of how much protection clear coat needs. At least 2 mils recommended by PP&G. I'm not far from PP&G, so I'm there picking as many brains as possible. I'll share that information with you in a dedicated video, but you can see here just an absolute huge difference that would blow away a customer just doing an enhancement. So let's give another example here. Here's McGuire's DA polish. This was not meant to have abrasives. However, it has a natural abrasives because they introduce a clay to control moisture, and the clay does not dissolve completely, leaving a little bit of some small particles there to abrade. Now, you can team this up with a microfiber polish pad. A little bit on the aggressive side for a polishing pad, but if you really have a beat up vehicle, a beat up surface, you can team that up with this polish here, and this just lets the pad do the work. There's lubrication in this product here that just allows your pad to do the work and will not dust, will not dry up. You can work it for as long as possible, and it's just an excellent product for a paint enhancement. Once again, crisscross pattern, the up and down motion is going to have firm pressure like a firm handshake. And when we get to the left and right motions, I'll shift my hand. You'll see that where I'm just grabbing the end of the polisher and guiding it back and forth. There are many, many polishes out there you can use for enhancement. I personally, when I started doing them, I just looked for cleaner slash polishes. Helps clean the surface and helps lubricate the surface while you're letting the pad do some of the work in bringing out gloss and shine. When it comes to pads, any polishing pad from Buff and Shine, Lake Country, Roops, you name it, they all have different types of polishing pads. Some have aggressive polishing pads, some have real soft finishing pads. For an enhancement, grab one of the more aggressive polishing foam pads. If you come across a microfiber pad that is just strictly has fibers for polishing, you can grab that and use that. I still think that is a bit too aggressive for an enhancement and maybe could be slid over into the one-step category. There's the difference, and that polish had no abrasives purposely added whatsoever, and just an absolute huge difference. Some customers would just be blown away with that. Corrected or perfect, not even close. The scratches, the swirls are still there, but the difference is the gloss, the shine, and the reflection. Let's move on to one-steps, and I'll scroll slowly through the different one-step chemicals you can use. There's so many out there. Just pick one and stick with it. Now, the difference between these and the ones I show you for enhancements are these are a bit more aggressive, meant to do a little bit of cutting. Hence, I will team it up with the 15mm Max Shine Polisher and one of three pads that I like to use for one-steps, the 50/50 Eurofiber, the low-lint wool pad, and you can grab any standard orange cutting pad for this as well. So we'll start out with the Wax Shop. This is a fine polish, a fine abrasives, no dusting whatsoever, long work time, and a lot of your medium cut compounds, your medium cut chemicals in correction systems will do great work as one-steps. You could pick any of them. By the way, down in the description box, I will try to break up two different groups. The chemicals I showed and some of the pads and some of the tools for enhancements, and then I'll make another group below that with chemicals, pads, and tools or polish to use for one-steps. You could use whatever you want. You don't have to use any of the ones I listed down below. These are just examples, so it gives you an idea of what group to start looking into. All right, so for this, the method is going to be the exact same way for an enhancement. That first pass, which is going to be up and down from a crisscross pattern, is going to have some pressure, just like a firm handshake. We're going to get the most out of those abrasives because a lot of these products will have diminishing or adaptive abrasives. And right out of the bottle, right from the get-go, you're going to have a little bit of cut. So take advantage of that, and using the 50/50 Euroblend fiber pad here, we're going to do just that. Those cutting fibers are going to team up with the diminishing abrasives, do a little bit of cut, and as they break down, then the polishing fibers from the pad takes over. And right here, I switch from pressure to just guiding the polisher. By the way, when it comes to arm speed, and I've mentioned this in a lot of videos, but correction speed is 1 inch every second or two. When I get to the second pass and I lighten up on pressure, you can speed it up to 2 inches every second or two. You don't have to hover over one spot for a long period of time. So let me wipe off the residue, get rid of the tape, and show you exactly what this looks like. And you're going to notice there is a bit of correction. Some more defects are removed than enhancements. But like I said before, if you're a beginner, don't just skip to this step. Go to enhancements next. It's a little bit less aggression with those, so less chance for you to get in trouble. And when I mean getting into trouble, I'm talking about damaging the clear coat by one of many ways: burning through, heating up one certain spot of the clear coat where you're damaging it years down the road, or just taking it down way too thin. Here is another example of what I use for one-step, and this is on some really, really trash clears. I'll grab the low-lint wool pad, which has some cut, finishes down extremely well, one of the best for a wool pad, and I'll team that up with Angel Wax All-in-One, which has protection. One thing I did forget to mention, both the enhancement products and the one-step products, some will have protection, some won't. For me, it depends on the vehicle. I kind of like to do the enhancement or the correction and then like to add my own protection in the end. one of many, or sometimes I'll just use a product that is a true all-in-one with everything in it, cut, finish, and protection. Yes, first pass, a little bit of pressure. Second pass, move your hand, just guide the polisher back and forth. Clear coat can be measured in both mils or microns. 50 microns or 1.5 to 2 mils or 0.0002 inches is what you'll get thickness from of clear coat from factory. And factory sprays on just as much clear coat that is needed for protection. They don't add more, which will give you some clear coat to shave down the road. So anything you shave from factory clear coat is taking away from protection that is intended for the car. Just something to keep in mind, guys. Something else to consider, talking to the guys at PP&G, they recommend a minimum of 2 mils thickness clear coat for maximum protection of UVA, UVB, and some of their scratch-resistant coatings. They barely get 2 mils of thickness from factory. They say it's more likely 1.5 to 1.75 mils thickness. Just something to keep in mind. So with an enhancement, you're practically scraping away a little bit of the dead paint on the surface. With a one-step like we did here, you're just going a little bit further. As you can see, a lot was left behind. It's not even close to being corrected or perfect. However, huge difference. All right, let's move on to protection if you're using a product that doesn't have the protection. It just enhances or does the one step. Follow up with something simple like this. This is easy to get. You can use it with a polisher. You could use it by hand with a microfiber applicator. This is how I do it. I prefer applying and removing by hand. You can also use a black finishing pad, such as the one I have attached to the little polisher here, and you can use that to massage the product into the pores of the paint. And arm speed is going to be, of course, much quicker than correction speed. You don't have to sit there hovering, again, in one spot. You're not doing any correction. You're just massaging it in. And you can do large portions of a panel at a time because these have tons of lubrication, and your arm is moving a little bit faster than the step before. If you're using this method, keep in mind, even though this is a black application pad, it does have a bit of abrasion. So you are adding to some of the removal of the clear coat that you've already done with either the enhancement or the one step. It's not aggressive at all. So, I mean, you could probably stay on it all day and polish at one spot and you wouldn't polish through, but I'm just letting you know it can abrade. It's a foam pad and they will abrade no matter how soft they are. So I'll remove that and hop over and show you exactly how I like to do my waxes and sealants. That's by hand. Let's finish this up and give it a smiley face. Okay, now I don't know if it's meant to confuse you even more, but I see a lot of malarkey with this circular motions compared to straight lines. Guys, I seal my applicators and my microfiber towels away from any shop dust whatsoever. They're completely sealed, and I work in a clean, controlled environment. And if you are in a clean, controlled environment, don't worry, just you can apply in small circular motions, in straight lines, triangle shapes, rectangular, oval. It doesn't matter. Just get it on there, get it spread out evenly. That's the most important thing. All right, so this hood has been enhanced. It's also been one-stepped, but it's not perfect. It hasn't been corrected, and it just looks marvelous. The customer would be absolutely happy to have this type of service, and it's highly recommended for you guys just starting out. It's safe, it'll keep you out of trouble, and you know what I mean by trouble. Brian from Apex Detail, you guys are the absolute best. Catch you in the next video.